Hey, and welcome back to my end of Instagram video saga. I'm going to be talking about different things, different themes, different things in my life that, yeah, I've come to appreciate and develop a nice relationship with, but that also can be very confusing. So today we're talking about music, one of my favorite things in human existence. Along with all the cooking stuff I share and the barefoot stuff, music to me has been like the bloodline. It's been the life force in my entire being of existence through all time since I was a little boy dancing, getting weird. Um, but as someone, I spent a long time, I was in a band for 10 years pursuing that dream as a rock star, and I've performed with other bands and recorded and dealt with the industry and done a lot of stuff over the years in the music space. And I've learned enough to be able to maybe shed some light on people that are, if you're someone who's like in a band right now, or you love music and you're not sure what direction to pursue, or maybe you've never played music before and you just like feel like, oh, it'd be so cool to have some kind of relationship with music, maybe this will shed some insight. So first off, when I first got into music, I never once in my life thought that I could be a musician. It was like, I loved playing guitar, I loved to dance, but I had a terrible voice, I was tone deaf, I couldn't write songs, and I just assumed like there's no chance I'm going to be in a band. That's just not even a possibility. And then, that all changed in college when I met someone named Tim who was an amazing musician, and just like I saw the possibility of like, oh my God, we could change the world with this and it could be amazing. So dove into the band world and really dedicated my entire life to that, and went from zero passion, zero like idea of what I wanted to do in the world to like instant like this is focused life, dedication, everything. This is my dream. So that was cool to realize that you can go from having no passion and no clarity to like in an instant it can all change. So if you're feeling lost right now, know in any moment it can change. But over time, I started to kind of like, we moved to New York City and started to get some more success. And I just really started struggling with the whole band world because I saw how much music had turned into a commodity of like, hey, you need to package a song into this little tiny blip, and you need to sell yourself, and you need to dress a certain way and act a certain way, and deal with all these things. And all I wanted to do was play music. All I wanted to do was get weird and get people dancing, and that was my favorite thing. I loved being at a show and having people there. You could tell we're having a stressful day, and I felt like my goal every night was just to get people to feel a sense of freeness, or as Jim Carrey would say, freedom from concern, even just for the evening. And I love that, and it was so wonderful. um, then I started getting more, when I started kind of leaving that band, I started getting more into sound healing, vibrational healing, and using music as a tool to heal. And that kind of was blowing my mind because it kind of connected a lot of dots that I hadn't really seen, things that I was experiencing on some level but couldn't fully understand. I was like, oh, yes, music is medicine. This is amazing. So I started, doing more song circles and started doing more sound healings and kind of getting into that world. And I also saw that world had its things too that were kind of strange, as all things have that sort of duality in them if we're playing in the Matrix, right? Um, so, a few things. For one, that I've kind of come to see, and I created a whole music school, which you can check out. Yeah, so part of this whole Leaving Instagram series is like I have other things in the world. So if you click on the link in my bio or in this video, youenjoylife.us, you can get all my books for free. I have a book on music. Did a whole music course on how to kind of tap in your musical gifts. So you can click on that. But one of the reasons I started doing that is because I realized over the years that everybody was a musician. And yes, there are levels of skill, and some people's voices and their songwriting abilities and their performance will blow you away. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to be at that same, space and that level, but we all have the ability to express music in our hearts. And if you look back to more tribal times, and most cultures, they all have some sort of musical tradition, and usually it's around bringing people together and feeling this sense of oneness. So you might go to a concert, and it could be a Taylor Swift concert, I don't know, and you might feel that sense of oneness, because music transmutes and transmits that in a beautiful way. And there's also like the dark side of the industry, so that these two worlds are kind of like merging. And I'm not saying that all the industry is dark, but by default, when you take something beautiful and you try to kind of condense it into something and then try to sell it, and somebody at the top is like, I'm making a lot of money from this, it kind of skews things a lot, so it can be very confusing. So if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't play music, or I can't play, or I want to, and you have all these stories, just recognize that you can have a sacred connection to music even if you don't feel like you want to pursue it. There are some of us that feel this deep desire to pursue music and make it a career, and that's beautiful. And some of my favorite people and favorite artists in the world, they channel incredible music and they get to share it. You can go to a concert and feel this incredible thing. And yet it doesn't mean that you need to take that route if you're just like, I just love music. You can still have a beautiful relationship with it. Whether you're singing in the shower or in the car or just singing with some friends, you can develop and cultivate something special and feel the sacredness. And in my personal life, like, I really love sharing music and sharing it with people. But I tend to get more into the business side. Like, I just don't feel that resonance of like needing to make a living off of it. I've made money from doing musical things, and I've played shows and people hand me money and I'm like almost confused, like, whoa, I just got paid for that? That's crazy. And yet I don't put in a lot of time to making sure that's the way that I survive. I find other ways because, to me personally, I just love the simplicity of music, and I spent many years pursuing that and trying to make it a living, and was like, oh, I just don't need that. I assumed that was the only way. So there are other ways. Another thing is, I've had friends before that I had one of my close friends in New York City, in Brooklyn, my neighbor. Before I met her, she wasn't playing and wasn't singing, and we started kind of playing together. And at first I was teaching her some things, and then very quickly she just picked it up, and suddenly she was singing and like had one of the most beautiful, like, voice of an angel. And people would hear her and be like, oh my God, you need to record music, you need to, you're going to be famous and all this thing. And for her, she didn't necessarily want to take that route. She just loved playing music. And I actually thought that was pretty cool, because I've seen there's a lot of people who have this beautiful connection to music and they assume that they have to be a recording artist. And it's like, maybe that's the path you want to take, or maybe you just want to keep and cultivate that relationship. So don't feel like just because you have it and people are telling you you're great that you automatically have to, like, that's the only route you can take, is to like go into the music industry. If you feel called, awesome, have fun with that journey. Now, if you do feel called to be a musician, another thing that I've kind of seen is that just like anything in life, there is no place where you've finally made it. There's always going to be more. Like when I was on YouTube and we hit 10,000 subscribers, like, oh my God. And I can imagine it's similar with like streaming platforms and music. And then it's like, what if we hit 50,000 and we hit 50, and what if we hit 100? And by the time we hit 1 million subscribers, I was just like, whatever, cool, like, great. Because I realized it wasn't about the number at that point. I went through this whole journey of thinking it was about the number. So if you are someone that wants to pursue music, know that the fulfillment, from my experience, comes in every moment, in every experience. And every person that comes to a show, that's beautiful. They want to come and hear your music, or maybe they've never heard it before and you can give them an experience. Someone once told me, a manager a long time ago, he said, you never know who's in the audience. It could be one person, but that one person could change your life or have a great impact. So rather than trying to devalue people by saying, I need to have a certain number, or the show didn't sold out, it's like the people that are there, and you get to share that with them. So know that if you're pursuing music, there is no like ultimate destination, right? I've been spent time around a lot of like big music celebrities, and I've seen that level of fame where you're like at the top of the pop. There's a lot of beauty and magic to that, and also it can be extremely demanding, and suddenly all these people are dependent on you to make lots of money, and you're kind of like, in some cases I've seen, it's like caged animals, and it seems like touring the world all the time and always being on tour can be a great thing, and that life is for some people, but not for everyone. And the cool part is, and why I bring this up, is that we're living in this new time where you can actually share music authentically through these different mediums and not just have to be on tour all the time. If you want to live that life, of course you can live that life, but there are other ways, even through licensing and through sharing your music, and again through sound healing and creating more intimate experiences. We've been Aja and I have been hosting these retreats with one of our favorite bands, Yaima, and one of the things that we love about it is like we get to bring people into these small containers where it's 20 people getting to be with their favorite band, getting to do meditations and breath work and voice openings, like in this really small intimate container. And even though it's only 20 people, it can be extremely impactful. And then Yaima can play shows and travel around and also have those big experiences and kind of have that duality of the big and the small. And I just love working with them for that reason, because their music is so ceremonial and it's so magical and beautiful. And to get to perform and play with them is always such a treat. And I've learned so much from them. And that brings me to another piece, is that music, one of the things about like the making it, I find, is that if you can stay together, if you're in a band, right, and you can actually work on your interpersonal dynamic and have a good connection and friendship, that's almost more important in a lot of ways than anything else. because they say it can take 10 years to have overnight success. I don't know if you heard that idea. So a lot of times these bands come out of nowhere and they're like, oh, they pop off, and it's like, wow, this new band or new artist in the Grammys, and usually they've been around for a very long time. And if you can build that slow and steady, dedicated following and fan base of people that really love your music versus just like having one hit and hoping that's it, you can actually create a life and a living. And again, because there's no actual place to get to where we suddenly arrive and like, I've done it and I've achieved all my dreams. No, if we're always growing and changing, well, how can we manage our own emotional, and the interpersonal dynamics of being in a band? I used to joke with my bandmates, like being in a band is like dating four other people, maybe you're not sleeping together, but it's like you're talking all the time and you're making decisions constantly. And yes, you get to come together and practice and in shows and have that amazing release, but a lot of it is like logistical stuff that you're figuring out. So just like in a relationship, if you have a person or a friend or friends that you really enjoy spending time with and you can create something special, well, remember, it's about that. It's when ego starts to get involved and when this person's this and this person's that, and you start butting heads, where it gets really tough. So if you can stay together long enough, or if you're an individual musician and you can pursue this path long enough, you will find a way to make it your life. Which brings me to another point. If you love music and want to pursue it or just want to have it in your life, figure out a way to design your life so you can continue to do music, because there is no ultimate destination to get to in anything in life. If it's something you truly love, whether you want to pursue it and try and be famous and spread your music around the world, or just like do it intimately, figure out how you can design your life so that you can do that. Because chances are, as a musician, like, yeah, maybe trying to be like at the top and make millions and millions of dollars, that's one thing, and that very few people experience that. But you can make a really good living and live a really good life and tour the world, or do sync licensing and write music and be someone who loves to play in the studio or whatever it might be. You can find a way to design your life, because there is no one way to be a musician. I used to think, because I grew up with the Beatles and Radiohead and these bands that like were mega famous and traveled the world and had big record deals, that was the only way. And now we're not living in that time. Now we're in a time where you can literally record an album on your phone and share it with people and have an impact. And I think that's super interesting and super cool. So, yeah, I really just wanted to come on here and share a bit about some things that I've seen with music, because I find if you can have a sacred connection to music, whether that means pursuing it in a big way or just having some friends over like we do, we like to have song circles, bring people together, and just share music and just sing freely and just kind of allow that space. There's a special connection that comes from both of those things. So if you want to have music in your life, know that there's so many ways to do it, and you can design a life of your own choice in this way. I hope that was maybe helpful. Again, if you click on the link on my bio, you can check out my music offerings, the course, the free book, Dancing with Your Best Friend, and I'll see you soon. Also on my YouTube channel, because I'm leaving Instagram, you can check. I have a ton of videos on music stuff there and how to sing and open your voice and all this stuff. Peace.